Okay. Hello and welcome to Mini Views, a monthly interview series where I discover more about the human behind the business. Hi, I'm Sam Osbiston, a writer and bravery coach. Today I'm excited to be chatting to Helen, founder of Helen Baker, an empathy-led marketing and design business. Hello and welcome, Helen. How are you?
Hi Sam, yeah, I'm very well, thank you, and very happy to be here with you.
Yeah, excited to have you. I'm excited for our conversation, and I'm going to ask you first, just in your own words, for those of people who are watching who maybe don't know you or know a little bit about you, can you just let me know what you do and why?
So I am an empathy-led marketing and designer, and I really help people get focused on their websites and clear on their marketing, so they can sort of be proud of what they offer and putting out in the world, and so they can get clear and just speak to the right audience really. And I really kind of have this sort of empathy-led perspective, which stems really from a background in social anthropology and human-centered design, as well as teaching as well, that really focuses on the user or the audience and really getting clear on what their needs are and making sure your business is tailored to meet their needs. So that's how I work with businesses.
So that makes a real difference, I think, because a lot of people think like marketing's or sales and advertising, and there's quite a mixed conception, isn't there, about what marketing can be, especially when you're new into business and you come from a more corporate background. It's important to have that empathetic aspect within it in order to sort of really connect with your potential customers and clients, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And I think, as business owners, because we're sort of immersed in our businesses, and especially if we're kind of business owners and we have lots of different roles within it, we're very used to talking about what we do. But in actual fact, we need to make sure all the marketing messages we're putting out there is actually speaking to our audience.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't necessarily focus on what we do, but we need to focus on the difference we make to our customers or clients. So I help clients get really clear on who they're targeting, what their customers are actually feeling, what their pain points are,
Mm-hmm.
and what they're struggling with, what their frustrations are, and then how you work with them, and then what difference you make afterwards. And like I always tell my clients, whenever anyone sees anything out in the world, whether that's a social media post, blog post, website, anything, they'll always be thinking, consciously or unconsciously, what's in it for me?
Yes.
What's
Yeah.
the benefit for me? So if you can have thought about that already, it actually makes the messaging a lot clearer, because you know how to put that in language that your customers understand and how to help them best, without focusing so much on the bit that you do. You facilitate the change to happen, but it's making sure it's in the right language that speaks to your audience, rather than in kind of industry speak for you, which might come naturally, but actually it might confuse or just throw a sort of question mark over your customers, and that's not the feeling you want to have with them. It should feel natural. They should read a post and think, that's me, that person gets me, and that's what I try and help businesses understand, whether that's through some market research or looking at their testimonials and reviews that they've already got. And it's like I say, it's like being a bit of a detective, having a look to see what language is coming up again and again, what pain points, how are people describing them, and really sort of helping them craft a message that speaks straight to the heart of their audience. Because us humans, we're all emotional beings, and I think it's the neuroscientist Damasio. He said rather than being thinking beings that feel, we're feeling beings that think. And actually,
for real,
when you think about the emotions, everything we respond to, every decision we make is led by an emotion. So it's really important to tap into emotions. And that's kind of my passion, really.
You can tell as well you are very incredibly passionate about it, and it's really lovely to see that how passionate you are about it. So how did Helen arrive here? Like, what was the journey you came on before you arrived to this point in time with your business, running a business, and actually being, because I do know obviously a little bit about you, but being in this area as well, because you're not originally from here, are you?
I'm not a Wiltshire girl. I'm actually a Cornish girl at heart. So yeah, my family and I moved to Wiltshire about coming up for 5 years ago now. I'm not quite a Cornish girl through and through. My grandparents weren't born in Cornwall, but I grew up in Cornwall, so Cornwall is very much part of my heart. And yeah, my family are still down there, so I love to go and visit them as often as I can. As I just love the kind of headspace you get by being by the sea, and just kind of the raw elements of waves and the sea and the cliffs and the beaches are, yeah, it's good for the soul. So I try and get down there as much as I can, and that's been quite hard in this pandemic, that I really feel sort of itchy feet for being by the coast. But yeah, I'm staying safe, and I know I'll get there soon, so yeah, that's fine. So yeah, we made the move here about 5 years ago, and prior to that I was a primary school teacher, but knew I wanted to make a change, and I'd sort of been dabbling in design, and when we moved here I was I'd sort of taught myself Illustrator on digital design, and I wanted to use these skills in some way, and I sort of used our new home that we moved into, as a bit of a testing ground, because I was looking for lots of fabric for our home that was sort of gender neutral. I'm the only female in our household. I live with my husband and 2 sons, and at the time we even had 2 boy guinea pigs as well, so it was very male dominated. And and every fabric shop I went into, the focus was sort of very feminine and floral fabrics, but I wanted something that sort of worked for both male and female tastes. And as I'm sort of graphic design inspired, I wanted something that was inspired by nature, had a graphic design feel to it, and that sort of could last. And I couldn't find what I was looking for. And because I was doing digital design on the computer, I decided, why not have a go at designing my own fabrics? So I started with my son's bedrooms and did them, and got them printed by a digital print company in London, and was really pleased with the outcome of that. And I made a Roman blind and lampshade and cushions, so it all kind of tied together in the same colour palette and looked really good. So I decided to kind of tackle all the different windows in our home, and yeah, I enjoyed that so much that I decided that actually maybe this could be a business for me. So that was actually my first kind of foray into self-employment, and I set up my own company, and basically it was fabric design. And I had a launch event, and had sort of launched my first fabric collection that was inspired by Cornwall. So it was called You Can Take the Girl Out of Cornwall. So lots of cloud, cove, sea, coastal inspired fabrics. Yeah, it had a contemporary coastal feel really. And I was selling them online. I was selling cushions, lampshades and fabric by the metre. And I went to exhibited at a trade show where I picked up a few stockists. But it was a really interesting journey, because along the way I found it a really hard slog. And a few years in, I had sold all my initial stock, which was great, but it had been a really, really hard sell. And I sort of came to quite a few realizations about myself and my skill set along the way, that I wasn't a natural salesperson. And if I was going to do this role, properly and kind of have this launch I also launched another fabric collection within that time as well. So I had 2 fabric collections, but it was just so hard to sell to people. And unless you'll sort of have a dedicated salesperson that is out on the road the whole time, which I didn't want to be, and I couldn't be, having a family at home, it just felt really hard to do. And it sort of, looking back at that time, it made me realise that I hadn't actually done any market research or audience research into what my customers wanted, the needs of my customers. I kind of realised a bit further down the path that, you know, as much as I love making things with fabric, and I'm very happy to make my own curtains and cushions and blinds with my sewing machine, most other people, the majority of people, kind of my target audience, which was, you know, fellow mums with small children, probably weren't going to make their own. They weren't as kind of happy to sit at a sewing machine, or perhaps didn't even have a sewing machine. So I was sort of in a minority, and also because the sort of principles for having this fabric printed in the UK with eco-friendly inks on organic cotton, all of those factors meant the price point was actually high and too high. And if you've got small children, I know you've got lots of children as well, they kind of makes, you know, stuff gets damaged, stuff gets dirty, and if you've got, you know, lots of fabric that's quite a high price point, it just makes it prohibitive. And especially as if you need, you know, for a pair of curtains, you might need sort of 6, 7, 8 meters of fabric, and if that's sort of £40+ per meter, and someone's going to make it as well, it just becomes too expensive when you can buy a pair of curtains from IKEA or Dunelm or wherever at a much lower cost that could be replaced if they get damaged. But I realised all of those things too late, and it made me realise that had I done the proper audience research, and that ultimately the business met my needs, but they didn't meet my audience's needs. So after kind of selling my stock, I came to a natural crossroads and thought, do I either invest in more stock, perhaps get it printed overseas, but then it sort of you know, affects my principles that I'd sort of been selling these kind of benefits of it. And yeah, I just decided that I was burned out really, and I just thought, I can't carry on like this. You know, it was just so consuming. And actually I missed the collaborative side of working with others on projects. And I really like helping people. And, you know, alongside that business, I had just helped friends and family out with little logos for websites, or, you know, branding and things. And I really enjoyed that side of things. So I thought, actually, I'm going to do what lots of business kind of gurus say, and pivot. And I did. And I took the skills that I'd learned and actually kind of just refocused my direction with it, and was able to kind of help businesses grow. And I knew what it was like then running my own business, and making sure businesses don't kind of go down the same route that I went down without having done that proper research on what your audience's needs, and are you meeting their needs, or is it just, you know, are you meeting your own needs? And just helping steer businesses to make sure their business is empathy led, really. So yeah, that's the sort of condensed, in a nutshell, version of my first business that led to what I'm doing now and why I'm doing it.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, because I've been in business for about 10 years, so, and I've done about 3 or 4 different things, that because of the same reasons, because, you know, it's a massive learning curve. We make mistakes, we have realizations, but it's just so important to build a strong foundation from that, isn't it? To build and I think it has a massive impact, all that learning, on building your own business, on your life as well, and how you want to lead your life, and how the values that you start to weave into your business actually come from your personal life. Do you find that?
Definitely
those things and
you know, all these elements of, you know, me wanting to help with people, work with people, be creative, you know, they actually these threads run through all the things I've done, including teaching and, you know, lots of other things. So they've always been consistent, but it's really nice to kind of come to a point and actually focus on what do I want, and actually make a conscious decision about, I am going to use these skills in this way. And and I think also when you're a mum, you know, family impacts every day on your life, and I wanted to be able to have that flexibility on my timing, to be able to kind of be flexible with both, really, both sides of things.
Yeah, completely. I guess so. Great. So let's start talking about pants. I see you've got a little rainbow badge on there. To get talking about what's going on for you right now, because not only do you lead a business with empathy, you advocate in empathy for very important things. In particular, this week is the We Are Smear Ready. We're All Smear Ready campaign. I really want to delve into that and how that came about for you.
Yeah, well, so this week it's kind of the main focus of my campaign, but it's actually Cervical Screening Awareness Week nationwide. So other people are involved as well in it, but it's the kind of main focus week for my campaign. So We Are All Smear Ready is a social media awareness week, awareness campaign to highlight the importance of cervical screening or smear tests. And the reason I started it was it's actually the culmination of three things. A couple of years ago, I lost a family friend to cervical cancer. At the same time, in the media, I heard that attendance rates for cervical screenings, smear tests, were over a 20-year low. And I also received my own invitation to have my appointment. And it just got me thinking, and it made me curious of why are so many women skipping appointments. And when I received my booklet that accompanies the letter, it's 16 pages of mainly text. I think there's 2 graphics in there, and it's very medical. And I always say I know that it has to be that way because it's an invasive procedure. But for me, I really felt that the empathy angle was missing. And this is the NHS produce these booklets, and they have to be very kind of text heavy and give lots of information to women because it's a choice whether you have it or not. But I really felt that I wanted to help empower women to have more choice over their health, to make informed decisions, knowing that because it's a very sensitive, delicate thing to have to experience. I wanted to sort of explore that a bit more with women and open up conversations. And it's not just have it as something that you have every 3 years and you don't talk about it with anyone. I want to kind of encourage women to have conversations. And the more I read the national sort of findings, the more sort of clear this became. Just to give you a bit of context, currently 1 in 4 women are skipping their appointments. This actually goes up to 1 in 3 women aged 25 to 29, and that's the first invited cohort of women to have their smear tests. The NHS cervical screening programme saves an estimated 5,000 lives every year, and these screenings help prevent 75% of cervical cancers developing. So they are key in cancer prevention and picking up any cell changes early that might stop any progression into cervical cancer going forward. And having lost a dear friend to cervical cancer, I just thought, this is a way that we can help prevent more women getting cervical cancer, yet they're skipping them. Why are they skipping them? Well, one of the reports from Joe's Cervical Cancer Trust, which is the UK cervical cancer charity, they had done a study called The Barriers to Attendance for 25 to 29-year-olds. And 2 of the key barriers that are stopping women attending are embarrassment and body image. So, women thought they had to get a bikini wax before they had to go, or they were worried about how their body looked. When I sort of wanted to take a less medical approach to the kind of information and marketing that's already out there, asking women to attend. And I thought this is a way to kind of harness social media, but from less of a medical perspective and more of a supportive big sister role. Because I kind of think this is how women should be talking about it, like a best friend or a sister might just say, oh, have you had your smear test done? What was it like? And being able and open and honest with their conversations. And I also think that, with the kind of focus on so many social media platforms being very visual, like Instagram and Snapchat, where you can have filters and kind of change the way you look. There's very much a focus on the external body, or our external bodies, and as we don't see our internal bodies, then they're kind of forgotten about. So I just wanted to kind of actually spark conversations, but in a very sort of relaxed, approachable, even fun way in, talking about pants, talking about lady gardens. And that was inspired by walking past a beauty salon in Bath, and I saw there was a mannequin in a beauty salon window, that had a sign around its neck saying, "How's your lady garden looking?" And they obviously wanted people to come in and have their lady garden sorted out. And I thought that's, it's the same target audience, again, thinking about my audience's needs and the language they use. And I sort of took that and wanted to use that kind of language about lady gardens, and being, not having to be beach ready to be smear ready. We are all smear ready, which is where the title of the campaign came from. But as a kind of accessible way in to talk about this difficult subject, through a very relatable images and language, really.
And it's so fun as well, because all your pant pictures, with flowers as the pubic hair and things, it's like, it's just like, that's good. Just like really heartwarming, and like it makes you think, because every single image that you put out as well has got a really, like, I've just seen one. The one today is about like how many nurses have seen loads of bushes. It's like, it's
lockdown. Doesn't matter if you
lockdown bushes. That's it. I thought it was so clever and just so, like, really empathic. Because it is awkward. And I think, do you know what? I don't think I had a smear test before I had kids. Because I was actually really young when I had my first baby, so I was only 20. So, and I think my eldest daughter now is still waiting for an invitation letter, and she's 25 this year. And it's crazy how, like, after you've had kids, it's kind of like anything investigative in that area. It's like, doesn't matter. Like, you've gone past that. but like that pre baby, or and obviously some people don't have babies at all, like being open quite literally in that area is really, really hard for some people. And I think that the campaign really gives that gentle approach to impacting on those people who probably are nervous in a very, very special way, that I would at least hope that they would be more curious to be led into the information that you share, and to understand the seriousness of the importance of having a cervical smear test as soon as possible, and keeping them up as well, and making sure you have them every couple of years, every 2 to 3 years.
It's every 3 years to start with, and then it goes up to 5 years. And that's why. So for the campaign was launched on International Women's Day last year, so that was March, and then for the Awareness Week in June, I had read a book called How to Be a Craftivist by Sarah Corbett, and do you have one?
I have it.
Yay! Such a good book, isn't it?
I just started it because there's something I want to do, and I was just like, I don't know, I'm going to read that. So
I basically read it on a train journey to Cornwall, and just head down and just page turn. I consumed it all in pretty much one sitting. So I was very inspired by Sarah Corbett's Craftivist movement, where she combines craft and activism as a gentle form of protest, a very effective way and strategic way of getting a message across that isn't sort of shouty loud protesting, with placards and banners and
oh my gosh, yes.
That's not my style. And Sarah Corbett's TED Talk is about why the world needs introvert activists, and I totally resonated with that. There's things I want to say, but I'm not going to be shouting about them. But if I can create little pants like these, which is what I did last year, these are eye-catching, and if you see them out in public, they might they're very eye-catching. You know, they're kind of bright colours. You can see that people have taken time and energy to craft these. And Sarah Corbett helped me craft a label to kind of explain the national context of cervical screening. So this went with these mini pairs of pants, and at the bottom it says, "These pants have been crafted with love by Helen." So again, it was a personal touch. So people were kind of intrigued, curious to kind of read more. And I encourage people to make these and either share them and sort of post them in public. So drop their mini pants in public during the awareness week, somewhere in public. So they could be on the back of a toilet door, a community notice board, on a restaurant, on a mannequin in a shop window, you know, anywhere and everywhere these pants kind of were found. And it was so great because people were then taking photos when they'd dropped them somewhere, and then other people were finding them, taking photos and sharing them on their social media. So it kind of really grew in that way. And it was just so lovely to see the creativity of lots of different makers out there. So, you know, a chocolatier made mini chocolate pants, a silk accessories, I think it's a lady that makes garters. She made a tiny weeny 3D pair of pants that went on the Eurostar to Brussels. You know, cartoonists, paper cut artists, freehand machine embroiderists, that's a word. Loads of people kind of got, you know what I mean. Loads of people kind of got involved in their own way, in their own style, made a pair of pants and then kind of shared them on social media last year. And I wanted to do something similar for this year, but you know, because of the pandemic, I didn't want people going out into public, you know, and dropping pants. So had a bit of a think and came up with this rainbow theme. And so this year, encouraging people to make mini rainbow pairs of pants, either kind of from a drawing around a baked bean tin and to make a little template and then kind of decorating it in any rainbow way they want. Or I've got on my website a downloadable template with a rainbow on, or a plain pair that people can print off and colour in or decorate however they want and share on their social media this week, with the message, you know, about screening, cervical screening, smear tests, and how important they are, and that they can actually save your life. So yeah, that's the kind of focus for this year. And I also wanted to use the opportunity, because it's sort of rainbow themed, to champion the NHS screening nurses who don't care what your lady garden looks like. They have seen all varieties, you know, lockdown, bush or not, they don't care. They're still able to do their jobs. And I've just heard that in England the cervical screening programme hadn't been paused during the pandemic, whereas in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland they had been.
Yeah, it has.
I've just heard that Wales is now resuming cervical screening.
Brilliant.
That's really
cool.
good.
That's important for people to know. And also on Friday, are you doing a craft along, a live craft along?
Yeah, a live craft along on Zoom, so there will be information going out on that. It'll be a Friday night, so you know, staying in is the new going out, and you can kind of craft along with me, and I'll be talking about Craftivism, about the campaign so far. People are welcome to kind of come along and either have printed out a template or can make one along with me, just with some cards and drawing around a baked bean tin, and then decorating. It's just a kind of chance for people to kind of do something together, and create a pair of pants that they can then share on their social media to help raise awareness of this week.
Oh, that's brilliant. It's just so fun as well. I just think it's an amazing way to do it, and it just warms my heart every time I see the pants. It's great. Okay, so one last question. What best piece of advice for humans in business do you have?
It's actually quite a simple one, but often overlooked, and that's just to listen, but listen well. And I think lots of people are sort of sometimes steamroller ahead with their idea, and if you actually listen to your audience, listen to your customers, and listen well, then you can pick up insights that help strengthen and inform your business going forward, you know, inform your marketing. And I've learned that the hard way, because I didn't listen. I listened to my my own needs, not
Yeah.
others. And yeah, I just want people to slow down, I think, and just listen, because you can learn a lot.
Brilliant. That was excellent advice. Thank you so much, Helen. It's been a joy to speak to you and get to know the human behind the business. Thank you very much. Any links for anything we've mentioned today, or to find Helen and her business and the We Are All Smear Ready campaign, the links will be in the show notes. I hope you've enjoyed today's mini view, and I look forward to seeing you next month. Okay, thank you, Helen, very much. Take care.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Sam. Bye.
Bye.